year over year is a big deal. Why? Because it's really, really difficult to bring prices down. They ran up under the Biden administration. Bringing those prices down is tough. But Trump has dramatically slowed inflation. If you can slow inflation, especially get it back to the Fed's target of 2%, and you've got wages going up 3.5%, if wages are going up more than prices, more than inflation, you will start to feel better.
So Sandra Smith talking about the wage gap, the affordability gap, the inflation to how much money is coming into your checking account. It's a political football for a lot of people who are looking right now to maybe gain your vote for political office. They're saying it's unaffordable, but those folks didn't seem to care about it a few years ago when maybe a different person was in charge. So what is the real truth here? How are wages doing right now compared to the last administration and where they need to be? Let's speak to our guest. David Asman joins us now, Fox business anchor. You can follow him at David Asman Fox. David, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for the time today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So can you just give us some comparison, a reality check, I think, if you will, because numbers, they don't lie. How is this administration doing on trying to increase those wages coming into the checking account, on the kitchen table, so on and so forth?
Okay, first of all, the flat-on figures, and these figures come from the Treasury Department, they come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they come from credible sources which have been used by economists for decades and decades. So this is not political rhetoric. This is just the numbers, or just the facts, ma'am, as the television show used to say. Under President Biden, under 4 years of President Biden, which is a fair amount of time to judge whether a president's policies are working or not, the average American real wages, now what's meant by real wages is inflation-adjusted wages. That means how much every dollar in your pocket can buy. Real wages went down 3.9%, almost just one click short of 4%, 3.9% decline in how much your wages could buy at the supermarket, whether you're buying a big ticket item like a car or a dishwasher or whatever. Your ability to buy that went down by 3.9%. During the past 2 years of Donald Trump's administration, more or less, your ability to buy things, real wages have gone up 1.2%. Now, 1.2% sounds pretty piddling. It doesn't sound like a lot of money. But the point is it's going in the right direction. Also, inflation is going in the right direction. Prices surely haven't gone down as much as they were before the pandemic, before 4 years ago, before Trump's second term. They haven't gone down that much, but they are rising at a slower rate now. So the rate of inflation is also coming down. So not only are your wages able to buy more goods at the store or wherever you're looking to buy them, but long term, the prospects look good in terms of inflation going down. Eventually, we're going to see interest rates today. There was a big drop in interest rates for several reasons that we can talk about, a little more complicated. But the long and short of it, you lost money under Biden. You're gaining money under Trump. That's the fact. Now, when pollsters go out and ask people, how do you feel? If you just came back from paying, I don't know, $30, $40 for a pound of meat, if it's a prime piece of meat, you feel not only upset, but you feel like things are going in the wrong direction for you. You ask people how they are feeling about their job, for example, and about the prospects for getting another one if you're not happy with where you are. You're looking around and you're thinking, gee, there should be more jobs. I hear all this talk about AI and all the jobs that it's generating and so forth. I should have a better prospect than I feel that I do have. Feelings are one thing, but the question is where you put your money. If you're really feeling desperate, if you're really feeling like your job is at risk, like you may not be able to pay the rent next month, you don't go out and buy things. Well, people are going out and buying things. The retail sales numbers that's another hard indicator that people are putting people are not putting their mouth where their money is, because their money indicates that what they're upset about is not actually coinciding with the way they're spending money. Now, a lot of that, of course, is the high rollers, the people with making $200,000, $300,000 a year, not putting off their vacations. That's true. They're going out and spending more than people that have money in the stock market because, of course, the stock market has been going gangbusters for the past year and a half. They're looking very fine. Not every American has stock or interest in stocks. Most Americans do. Over 50% of households do have some form of stock ownership, whether it's in their 401k or they're buying stocks through their own account or whatever it is. They have some form of stockholders. But that leaves about 40% of the population that doesn't. Of course, a lot of Americans would love to buy a house right now, particularly young Americans. The age at which Americans can afford a house has gone up and up and up. It used to be, 20, 30 years ago, it was in the late 20s when people would buy their first property on average. Now it's in their late 30s. So, there is a great deal of difficulty at this moment. We still haven't yet recovered the workers we need, the equipment we need, the lumber we need to provide the kind of housing that we need or that people want at any rate. There are efforts being made in that direction as well, too. We should mention, by the way, that it looks like Canada's just made a deal with Trump vis-a-vis its own tariff situation. He's going to drop the tariffs 50%. And we get a lot of lumber from Canada, a lot of it, to build badly needed homes. If their tariffs go down, we're going to be able to afford cheaper housing. Some people have also suggested that maybe what Trump should do, he may be able to do this by executive order. They're not sure. We're still looking at the legalities of all this, but just develop some policy with regard to eliminating all tariffs for the ingredients to put together a house, whether it's lumber, whether it's the hardware that you use in plumbing materials or electrical materials. Just eliminate all of the tariffs that are associated with that to make it much cheaper to actually build a house. Things like that are on the table as well. So I would not be as gloomy as a lot of the consumer sentiment figures that you see.
Yeah, it's such an interesting take on it. Just a couple thoughts on what you've said there. It's interesting that our excess consumerism here in the United States of America is creating an affordability issue for people who are not willing to say no to things, and that their answer is socialism right now in certain areas of the country. That seems bizarre. But back to the home building thing right now, if those implementation suggestions that you've made regarding making, lumber more accessible and therefore more affordable, does that benefit the businesses that are building these homes, or does that get all the way down to the consumer who says, okay, I'm not going to take a house that's on the market, I'm going to build my own? Does that help that person afford that house?
It's not them versus us. It's both. You can both succeed. Both the house builders would like to have cheaper materials to build with, and the home buyers would like to be able to pay less per square foot of lumber than they are right now. So it's not, that's the socialist jargon that, it either benefits the consumer or the producer. It can't benefit both at the same time. Well, that's wrong. It can. You can both have happy producers and happy consumers if they're paying less in regulatory costs, if they're paying less in taxes, if they're paying less in those impediments to buying what they want or selling what they want.
It can and it should, and I hope that it does. Are you hopeful right now that the economic principles that have been put into place in this administration will continue this kind of growth?
They will, in terms of regulatory policy, because, like it or not, for the Democrats, Donald Trump is going to be able to fill out his next term. God willing, he's healthy and everything, but he's got another 2 years, and most of the regulations, at least the federal regulations in the United States, come directly from the Oval Office. So he will make sure that regulations concerning energy, which of course has led to this tremendous boom in the energy market. Of course, it's been stalled because of our conflict with Iran. Hopefully that will get under order soon. I mean, I'm praying that it does, for not just pocketbook issues, but in terms of our troops as well. But the kind of deregulation that we have seen, where for every new regulation you have 10 regulations that are taken away, that we've seen in the Trump administration. It was just the opposite with Biden. There were far more regulations created than many people think are necessary, and that added to the cost of inflation as well. Those will remain till the end of Trump's term anyway, no matter what happens in the midterm elections. However, you got to look at the socialist threat that you alluded to before. I mean, there are people that are persuaded by the easy way that you can get everything for free if you just let it happen, if you force companies to do it. Well, if you force companies to make things for a cost that is less than what they paid for it, they're going to stop making things. And that's the problem with price regulation, which is what government has done very often. It's the first thing that socialists do when they get in office. They have, here in New York City, where I live, you have these rent controls. The rent for about 2/3 of the market. Actually, it's a rent freeze that Mayor Mamdani, who's a socialist, has put in power here. But he had this rent freeze. Well, what happened? The other 1/3 of rental units on the market increased their rents by 10%. Now the average rent for an apartment in New York City, the average monthly rent is $6,600.
Oh my gosh!
That's the average rent in New York City, and that's because of rent control, not in spite of rent control. That's because of rent freezes, not in spite of rent freezes. So it's just the opposite that happens, because what happens when you have price controls? Companies that have to make a profit, if they don't make a profit, they go out of business. Before they go out of business, they stop making that product, whether it's a house or food or whatever it is. And price controls always, it's the only thing economists agree on. Price controls always lead to shortages. By the way, why do we have prices so high in houses right now? Because we don't have enough houses, because there are too many regulations, there are too many price controls on those factors that are involved in making a house. So you get rid of price controls and you're going to see an excess of people getting into markets that they got out of because they couldn't make a profit in them. Our system is based on making a buck. If you can't make a buck doing what you're doing, you're not going to do it anymore. You're going to try to do something else or move to some other place where you can. A lot of the apartment builders here in New York have moved to Texas or moved to Florida or moved to places where apartments are booming because the population is growing, because everybody's leaving New York and California.
You said that $6,000 rent number, and thousands of Midwesterners just fell out of their chair.
Oh, I'm sure.
Driving off the road
ridiculous
here in St. Louis. That's outrageous to imagine. Certainly different than here in St. Louis, but still very analogous. We appreciate your time, David Asman.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you for being with us. We'll talk to you again.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. David Asman is a Fox business anchor. Great to talk to him and just get the numbers, get the facts. There are charts that you can read that show that wages under Trump are up. And, does it matter that they were down catastrophically under Joe Biden? Not to these people. I don't understand the standards. If you didn't have double standards, you wouldn't have any at all. That's what they say. Let's break here. Ryan will come back in. I want to go to the text line and the YouTube chat for your initial reaction to our YouTube live chat poll. When you're parenting, which is harder, bringing new babies home or watching your grown children leave? You can text us at 314-241-9797, 314-241-9797, or comment on the Annie Frey YouTube live chat. Go subscribe to us there and vote in this poll. Let us know what you think. Don't go away.